All right, viewers, thank you very much for staying tuned. Well, we have just about 12 minutes or so left in the remainder of the program. As you know, road safety took up most of today's program because it was a conversation that was needed and necessary because of we continue to see the carnage on our roads. But I did promise you Marlon Cole, the director of the Food and Drug, the Government Analyst Food and Drug Department, and he's here. Even though we're going to have a brief conversation, I'm hoping that he will be no stranger to Facing the Nation, so he will eventually be back. So for the first time on Facing the Nation, welcome to you, Mr. Marlon Cole.
Thank you for having me on your program.
All right. It is so great to have you. Now, viewers, I chose to have him because oftentimes when we hear about these departments when something comes up in the news. So what we're basically doing is sensitizing you. What is the purpose of this department and some of the work that they would have been doing and what the public can expect and what the public can actually go to the department for and you know, the functions and so on. Marlon, let's talk about because it's a relaxed gaff. Let's talk about the functions of your department.
Well, basically, Food and Drug Department, we are positioned as the National Regulatory Authority.
Mm-hmm.
And when you speak about the National Regulatory Authority, we're tasked with providing regulatory oversight to ensure food, drug, cosmetic, and medical devices that are traded in our market locally, both those that are imported and exported, are of the requisite quality, efficacious, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, we're being given a mandate by law, that is the Food and Drug Act of 1971.
Mm-hmm.
Archaic though it is very effective in
mm-hmm.
terms of offering protection
mm-hmm.
for the consumers out there.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, we have to work with a regulation which would regulate some of the standards that are required for food, drug, cosmetic, and medical devices out there.
Okay, in saying that, and this is not only you saying it, it's obvious that the act is archaic. Can they, or is it your department's duty to make recommendations to bring that up to 2016, this century?
After assuming the position of director some 3 years ago, that was one of my goal as a director,
mm-hmm.
to ensure that there is the necessary revision of the legislation and the improvement of the bringing it in line with international norms,
mm-hmm.
and of course their trend in terms of other products that are out there that our act and regulation does not cover. For instance,
mm-hmm.
some countries will accept electronic documentation, but at this point in time we cannot accept electronic documentation because of the fact that it's not enshrined in our laws. Some countries are now have legislation as it relates to blood and blood products, that is natural products, not exactly pharmaceuticals, but natural products derived and synthesized to be used by humans.
Mm-hmm.
We don't exactly have legislation covering those as well. And there is some, for instance, some natural products, meaning, you know, you talk about bush medicine and so, our legislation doesn't give us sufficient coverage to supervise or exact regulatory oversight on those products.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a want of...
But if you push, you can get to a position where you can exercise, because now you're talking about bush products, natural products, and so on. That's coming big because people are getting more health conscious.
Yeah.
So you can push to have it under you.
Right. No, but it's very basic. What we would have had to do is revise our legislation and upgrade our act, and we have had tabled about 3 proposals submission to our parent ministry, Ministry of Health, to have this legislation revised, and those were not we were not successful. Mm-hmm. But there would be other attempts because it's something that we have to do, because if not, we would, you know, remain, you know, archaic in terms of our activities, etc. You might want to do some enforcement to some particular legislation. If the pieces of legislation is not there, you may not be able to carry out those functions. But what I can say on this program is that the crafters of our legislation and those provisions in the 1970s and so. To me, when I looked at the act, they were actually way ahead of the game, because they're now even though it is archaic, it is very, very effective in terms of what it can do and what is allow you to do as a department.
Okay, let's talk about some of the other organizations or departments that you would have to collaborate with or function to ensure that customer and citizen satisfaction.
Well, those would be the environmental health unit that comes under the aegis of the Ministry of Health as well. We would appoint officers to carry out some of the functions and duties of the Food and Drug Department. There's a veterinary public health unit that we have to be in close collaboration with. They would deal with, meat and meat products, and we would offer support in terms of analysis and testing in some cases. There's the Ministry of Agriculture, which we have to work in close collaboration with, Bureau Standard, and the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. There are a number of agencies out there as well, or companies that we would offer our support in terms of licensing and in terms of giving them that piece of documentation so that they can export their product outside of Guyana.
Okay. All right. How do you handle, and I should ask you if it comes in constantly, reports and complaints, whether it be from individual citizens or companies in terms of wanting your department to check or to report certain products or so? How do you?
Well, because of our limitation and challenges as it relates to your workforce and some of the what you have at your disposal as a department in terms of staffing, we have a serious problem with that. We're working closely with the Ministry of Health in terms of getting better remuneration for our staff, making the job more attractive, etc. So we are not helplessly dependent, but very, very dependent on consumer complaint, particularly from companies and from competing entities, because some of the things that might pass our radar, competitors in the industry, let's say for instance in the area of cosmetic, we don't exactly have our handle as it relates to how we would have exercise regulatory oversight on cosmetics. We don't have any particular documentation. For example, if you want to bring food to Guyana, you must have what you call a free sale certificate from the country of origin, meaning the country where the food is being produced, the regulatory authority, like us, like the Food and Drug Department, would have sent to that shipment coming to Guyana, the batch, and they would do a declaration as it relates to, okay, this food is being produced in a factory that is subject to inspection by us, etc., and they would send that document to us to clear those products. For drugs, the drugs must be registered and of course must have some supporting document. But for cosmetic, at this point in time, we don't have anything that we can put our hands on to ensure that, let's say for instance, Speed Stick deodorant. If Speed Stick deodorant comes to Guyana being imported by several importers, we don't have any type of arrangement at this point in time to ensure that it is the authentic product that's coming to Guyana. Same thing with the perfumes and so. But that is an area that we have to work on. So if a competitor who is bringing the legitimate product comes to our department and say, look, Food and Drug Department, I'm making a complaint against a particular brand of cosmetics.
That is not the authentic thing.
Right. We take that very, very important and very, very serious, because we're very, very dependent upon information from legitimate importers that they can share with us. And we would, from time to time, be very responsive so that we will encourage them to come again and make
great.
complaints.
And I like the fact that you talked about responsive. We just have about 3 more minutes left in the program, viewers, but let's talk about, so how does it work? And someone comes to you, they make a complaint, what do you reach out to them?
What we have a complaint form, so any person could come to the department and report, be it a company, be it an individual, and make a complaint. We would fill out a complaint form with the particulars of the complaint. We will take numbers and so, and the officer who's taking the complaint would have to justify and say what action he or she has taken against it
And
with
those-
respect to the complaint.
and
those has to be on file.
Okay, but those you find because I'm just trying to get a sense of where we at in terms of regulation and quality products, and so do you get those complaints regularly or often?
Well, you get complaints on a regular basis, but sometimes people are reluctant to complain because of competitors. People are reluctant to complain because some of the details that you have to put on the form, and sometimes people don't have faith in your national institutions like ours. So strengthening our institution is very, very important. It's high on our agenda. We, at this point in time, as I speak, we're seriously pursuing accreditation for our laboratories, meaning if as of December of this year, when we would do an analysis, the certificate would be accepted any part of the world because it would be done under certain accreditation scheme. ISO, actually.
Just in about a minute, do you do, for want of a better term, door-to-door or farm-to-farm, meaning coming out of the office? Does that fall under you?
Actually, we contribute directly and indirectly to 36% of this country's GDP, because if we don't inspect Gaisuko's factory and issue them with a license so that they can export, if we don't inspect Banks, DDL, and all these other companies, we are the regulatory authority of Ghana. So we would have to do an annual inspection. In addition to the imports, we'd have to do an annual inspection of the importer's bond to ensure that the food they are importing or the products they are importing for consumers are kept and being stored in the requisite facility. They have the requisite documentation. They have the requisite records in the facility. So if perchance something should happen, we can have a good traceability system. Those are things we're working on. They're not exactly as they should as we speak, but those are areas that we have to work on as a department.
Okay, all right. Thank you so very much. Viewers, this has been a conversation with the Director of the Government Analyst Food and Drug Department. Again, it was a brief conversation, but we hope that he'll come back in the not too distant future. It is almost time. Of course, he's going to stay right there while I wrap up the program. It is almost time for me to wrap up today's program. Coming up next week, I hope we're going to try again for the Minister of Public Health, as I did tell you that he had to go out of the jurisdiction unexpectedly. I know this is the second week that he should have been here and he's not been here. We still have that outstanding matter regarding the health sector of itself to deal with, in terms of the fact that we're not too happy with this is the state of the health sector, and then we still have the issue about mothers and babies at the Georgetown Public Hospital. So we're going to try again next week to get the Minister of Public Health. Of course, even if we don't get him, Malika Ramsey will still be back here next week with another very informative program for you. Once again, thank you so very much to Superintendent Ashram, to the coordinator of the National Road Safety Council, Ramona Durjan, and also the chairman, Mr. Dennis Pompey. Look forward in future programs. Of course, I'll be talking about their plans as they roll it out in order to ensure their safety on our roadways. I am Malika Ramsey. Thank you very much for joining us. And of course, I can't forget, once again, thank you very much to Mr. Marlon Cole. I am Malika Ramsey. Thanks for tuning in. Be good, Guyanese citizen. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And of course, be careful on our roadways. This has been Facing the Nation.